we are about to start our interview on the topic event and sound production. And we have a guest here on the show with us, and his name is Orolua Onobanjo.
Yes.
He's an audio engineer. Welcome, and thank you
very much.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on the show this morning.
You're all smiles. You're ready for us today. Welcome to the show.
We're also happy to have you here.
Yes.
Okay, so on the topic of event and sound production, first of all, what is sound production?
Sound production basically is us producing sound for a large amount of people. So basically PA. So we're talking you have an event or you have a gathering and you need to speak it to an amount of people. I mean, you need an extra amount of volume of power to drive that.
Okay, does it have to be a large amount of people? So for a smaller amount, doesn't that qualify as sound production?
Yeah, I mean, well, I tend to look at things in the large scale.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because you deal with larger amounts of people.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So talking about event now, like you've mentioned, we have sound production in the studio, recorded, right? And also for movies. What is the thing about live sound production at events? How does that work?
How does it work? I mean, so, okay, let's take it back to our parents' days. So let's look at an artist. For an artist, for you to make money back in the days, I think you'll have to go into the studio, get a record, push it out, sell it. Okay. Now, you can't really get sales on your record now. So most way you can get money now as an artist is event production. You do shows.
Yeah. What goes down behind the scenes where you are to produce that music? What are your tools, your instruments? What is the whole process of that live sound production at events? Okay,
cool. There's a lot involved where we use microphones, different range of mixers, different range of speakers. I won't go into details. Do you want me to go into details?
You can. A little bit, yes.
Oh, awesome. So for a scale of 100 to 200 people, we say you need quite a number of speakers. So say if we have line array systems or we have irregular three-way systems. So passive, active system, you'll have to decide what kind of system you want to use for your place. Okay. So for example, if I have a show in this building now, I'll first come here to see how it sounds without anybody in it. Okay. I'll hear how it sounds and then I look for a way to find dead spots. Also, with consideration to the seating arrangement or where the stage is going to be and all of that, you look for how you're going to project your sound. What is required to project the sound is what would determine the kind of system I will use, active or passive. Okay. That being decided, we decide the number of wattage we need to send out, which would decide the number of boxes we'll need if we're using a line array system. And then we stack it up, get microphones as required by the client. Usually, people I work with send in riders. A technical rider is like a listing of the things you need for the gig. So it's basically me providing all you've listed and now coming to mix the show.
Okay, so let's go into qualifications. You studied computer engineering in school.
Yeah.
And now you're into live sound production. Yeah. What are the qualifications one need to be a successful sound engineer?
Well, being that it's a creative skill, I think most things you need is knowledge and your passion to drive for knowledge. Because, I mean, you have to stay in loop of technology. Things are going, you have new gadgets coming up. So I just decided to follow that speed and I went for a course in audio engineering.
So you went for a course in audio engineering?
Yes,
that means you had to get that sort of training in it. Do you have any qualifications whatsoever aside going for that training, like certificates that you got?
I did a couple of trainings in Nigeria. Okay. There's one by Shoge. Shoge is an event production company in Nigeria. You also have, what's it called? Like a boot camp. Okay. 3-4 days, and they do audio engineering certificates. They give it out. Okay. So I wanted more knowledge, so I went out.
For us that don't know anything about sound production, what are those particular skills that you learned in the course of your training, and what were the tools that you used to train?
Okay, I think to start with, a good knowledge of physics
helps
because, I mean, you're dealing with voltage, you're dealing with power and all of this. It's a good knowledge of physics counts. One, Then 2, keeping with technology in that aspect, in sound, also helps. But I guess the drive for knowledge explicitly is what made me go abroad to study, because, I mean, we learn these things on our own, but there's a symmetrical way of doing things that we don't know, because there isn't a structure for us to get into in Nigeria. Do you understand? So I think the drive is the most part of it.
So you can't just learn something and then stop at it. It has to be continuous.
Yeah, I mean, we have this phase of audio engineers that are used to analog world, because that's what they were using back in the days. But now things have switched up. We have digital consoles now. Now imagine you as an analog engineer not refusing to accept the digital technology. You keep doing things your analog way, you get it done, but it's a simpler and better way of doing it now.
Yeah. Are there any other skills? Would you need interpersonal skills, or are there any other areas that you need to touch up and be well versed in to be successful as a sound engineer?
I think aside all of that, your people skills has to be great, because I mean you're working with a lot of people, especially the band, which is usually annoying. So you actually need a lot of people skills. You need to be able to make people laugh.
Okay.
I mentioned I do
sound engineer.
Yeah. So I mentioned I do audio post-production. 2 years or 3 years ago, I was working in the TV station and I used to do location sound. I think the best part of that job was you getting to mic up someone. You trying to mic up someone that is nervous to go on air or is nervous to do a recording. You'll have to strike up a conversation. Do you understand? That alone brings some confidence in you. And sound being a creative...
And a career path area.
Do you get? So,
yes.
I mean, I need to trust you for me to give you my job, or for me to want to hear your sound or feel your sound. Do you understand? So, interpersonal skills.
As an audio engineer, how does the business part work? How do you get clients? How do you put yourself out there for people to know and to patronize you?
Sadly, our country doesn't help us in this aspect, because, as I said, there's no structure. So, how do I get jobs? Referrals. And I mean, you find a lot of people in the business, in the work as business, not with the passion.
Oh, okay.
Do you get? So most times people just pull up stuff because, oh yeah, this will work. This should work.
How do you think the structure should be like when it comes to, live show, studio engineering? That's live studio engineering. Live
audio.
Audio, yes.
I'm not really talking about structure as regards to live audio engineering.
Okay, so what part of structure are you talking about?
The whole creative enterprise. Because, I mean, look at photographers, look at writers that we have now, people coming up. There's nobody national body that's bringing us together as one.
Oh, okay.
Do you get?
Okay, to create pathways and help.
There's no vet. You can pull up a show for 20 million and call the same show 2 million.
Okay.
And
so
there's a lot of money.
I see where that structure is coming from. So if you have like a body, there's going to be like some regulations.
Now, we have sound engineering, audio engineering, and we have the disc jockey. Yeah. What is the difference between a DJ and a sound engineer? Okay,
a DJ mixes pre-record materials, so tracks. A live sound engineer mixes a band.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's like a major difference.
Okay, so do they have to work together? Because sometimes some DJ actually produce their own beats, right? So a DJ that produces a beat, is he also a sound engineer?
Okay, so before you answer that question, we have Bella online. Hello, Bella.
Good morning, everyone.
Hello, good morning, Bella.
Good morning. Okay, so a quick one. Talking about sound production, I know for events, a lot of people are actually involved aside from the sound engineer. The anchor of the event is involved. The sound engineer is involved. The sound mixer is involved. Everyone's hands is on deck. But now, when a sound production goes back, a lot of people tend to focus on the sound engineer creating a bad production. Meanwhile, something could go wrong with the mic. Either the anchor did not put on the mic or is not handling the mic properly, or the outfit of the anchor is hitting the mic or something, and then people feel it should be the fault of the engineer. So is it always the fault of the sound engineer? I just want to know. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bella.
Thank you.
Should I get
Go ahead, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it is the fault of the engineer, but I mean, equipment tend to get bad. So there are some unforeseen things that can happen during the show, but all things being equal, your show should run smoothly. Because for a live production, you have numerous time to set up and do the necessary things and put everything in place before the show goes on air. So, I mean, the engineers be blamed.
So what are the things that could go wrong, the possible negative things you need to watch out for? I believe that would be the purpose of coming the day before and being sure and having a whole team. So what are those things that a sound engineer should look out for at an event?
First thing, power. Power is always a major problem. I'm sure you would have been in a show where things are going on, you're driving, and everything just goes off. That's usually because sometimes people don't calculate the output they need for the people coming in. Now, you see, for every edge that comes to a party, there's a wattage. Watt is power.
Okay.
Do you get? So if that is not properly calculated and there's too much people for you to push power on, you will overdrive whatever little box you brought, and then it will go off. So that's usually one problem. Others can be miscellaneous, cables, power, batteries, and all these things. Those things happen, but the major thing is always power.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I have a question for the guest.
Okay.
Okay, I record voiceovers for people.
Awesome.
So now I have issues with my voice blasting. They tell me my voice blasts and all of that. It goes like, you understand? So I want to ask, if you want to use a Zoom recorder to record, for example, what is the average volume? What volume can I put the recorder so it wouldn't have to blast?
Okay. Thank you, Taryn.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Go straight that into that.
Yeah, sure.
All right, cool. So for you to do that, I think best way to get that, get your inputs low and your output high. So you can go off on like, I would try a 60.
Okay.
60% volume.
For what kind of recording? What kind of
Recording
event?
She was
Is
talking
that
about
individual
a
recording?
Zoom recorder.
At a 60?
Yeah, 60%.
Okay.
So that's like in dB. Oh, better still just record in 0 dB and reduce the output.
There's no particular course that you can study and say, okay, in future, my career path is live sound production?
Right now in Nigeria? Nah, bro.
None.
No.
Not even in our polytechnics, not even in our universities.
Okay, so since there's no career path in the universities now, in the education system, is internship a reality? Does it work? Does it happen in the sound engineering industry so far? And how much does it help?
Yeah, I mean, that's just the bedrock of it now, because any growing sound engineer, you know, is interning with someone. Remember I mentioned we have a lot of businessmen.
Yes.
Yeah, so these businessmen happen to just help our career. They give us access to equipment, because, I mean, if you don't have access to try these things on board, you can't learn. So
Thank you so much, Ore, for coming on the show.
Hello there. Did you just enjoy that beautiful video? Don't worry, we have more for you. All you have to do is click on the subscribe button and ring that little bell for more notifications. Tea or coffee will be served for you.